Some nerdy news time.
Yes, quite a bit has happened this week.
Yeah, it was a busy week in the world of news.
It
Right.
was.
Starting off with something
Mm.
we thought was happening last week, but I can't remember if we said anything because we weren't sure, so we wanted to not say anything.
Yeah, I think we'd only heard that there was a potential delay coming, but we didn't know
Yes.
any details yet.
So, Captain America: Brave New World
Yes.
was originally known as New World Order, but they changed that name because they realized it had weird connotations.
Mm-hmm.
Has been slated for a May 3rd, 2024 release date.
Mm.
This date has, after the first batch of delays,
Yeah.
had been slated for the Deadpool 3 release.
Mm.
This means that Deadpool 3 has been delayed, like people were assuming was a potential
Yeah,
risk.
and the director had said, "Our like other things are causing our film to be delayed."
Yes.
So that was what was coming out last week, and then now with the reveal of the new Captain America date, kind of just confirms the fact that Deadpool's been shoved back.
Yeah. They're like halfway through filming it, and
Yeah.
as we're about to find out, SAG-AFTRA is not close to a deal.
No.
Okay, so there's a lot that's happened over the last week with like this, so take this all with a pinch of salt because stuff is moving fast.
Yes.
So SAG-AFTRA and the AMPTP are reportedly back at the table currently.
Apparently.
And this was after AMPTP realised and this is a quote by the way, fucked it by walking away from the table previously.
Recall to last week when we mentioned that the Netflix CEO told shareholders, yeah, we're in negotiations, but it actually was one of 4 CEOs that had walked away.
Yes.
So,
And the Netflix CEO's been in the news again for maybe saying stuff that's less than true.
there's a surprise.
Because the Netflix CEO claims they are working hard to find a solution, failing to mention he was one of the CEOs who walked away from the table. And the only reason that there isn't a solution is because they are refusing to meet the fair demands from SAG-AFTRA.
Mm-hmm. There's a surprise.
This is like saying I'm trying to find a solution to my drinking problem while continuing to drink.
Yeah.
The solution is to accept the help you're offered and stop drinking.
Yeah, I'm working on my gambling addiction,
Yeah.
but CS cases.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, that's actually a harder situation because there's an addiction there.
Yeah.
This is just a rich arsehole.
Yeah. And like I like the fact that it got put as they realized they fucked it. In other words, all of these different boards of people have gone, hang on a second, we can read the news. We know you walked away, and they're like, ah shit, we've been caught. We can we go back to the table, please?
But it gets worse still.
It does.
The
somehow.
major film studios are worried that if they can't decide to pay their actors fairly or get the actors to agree to a less than ideal deal within the next week or so, that the 2023-2024 television season will be scrapped and more films will be delayed. We said that they had X amount of time to get this done before anyone would notice the real effects of it. We are now getting to fuck around and find out.
Yes, we are. We've had delays, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're getting all these film delays," but like that's just the start of it. Like people need to realize. I think people have sort of saw the writers got a deal and were like, "Oh, things are going to get flowing again." It's like, yeah, cool. You could have all these TV shows written, but if the actors haven't made a deal and they're not making the shows, like there's going to be we're going to run out of stuff.
But it gets even worse.
Okay.
Because apparently the AMPTP has threatened SAG-AFTRA once again, saying if they can't get to a deal over this weekend, they will not negotiate with them again till January.
They're really trying to play the we aren't going to give in first like play here, and it's like I don't think they realize how stubborn people will be when they want to be, especially when you've got high-paid actors keeping things afloat for them.
Yeah. People, not to be overdramatic, but I don't know how else to phrase it. The world and local communities were famously well together during the First World War and the Second World War. Because during hard times, people group together, they work together, it builds a sense of community.
Yeah.
If all these actors are struggling together, they will all lean on each other and work together to make sure no one gets left behind.
Yeah. I guarantee if there isn't a deal met and AMTP or whatever go, right, we're not talking to you now till January, you'll then get a headline of X, Y, and Z actors have all just donated another set of millions into the fund, and AMTP is going to be like, oh, shit. Okay, that didn't work. Like, I don't know what they expect.
Exactly that. And I think the big thing to remember with all this as well is they're giving big, like, angry drunk person right now. Because what they're doing is they're going, oh, I see you, I want to talk to you, you're not listening to me. Then they storm off, and then 2 hours later they're texting them like, hey, you up?
Yeah, it's that, like, crazy ex-girlfriend or boyfriend's like, oh, we're done, we're broken up, but then they're like, oh, I see you this weekend, yeah? And it's like,
Yeah.
what? Like, are you forgetting the conversation we just had?
And whether you guys believe it or not, if they do say we're not talking to you again till January and they follow through on that, CEOs will lose their job.
CEOs,
They will.
Yeah. There will
Especially them media-only companies like Netflix.
Do you know what will happen, though? It'll be phrased in such a way that the Netflix CEO has chosen to step away. In other words, no, all these boards of directors have gone, you're costing us money, we're voting you out. Or like, no confidence.
Yeah. When Netflix announced that the next season of Stranger Things isn't coming for another 2 years and their subscriptions drop off by 15%, and then they drop off at a 1% rate for the 4 months after that, the CEO of Netflix gets fired.
Yeah, like we're talking about like the TV season might happen, but there's going to come a point when these streaming services, their content flow and announcements is going to slow down. And people are going to be like, oh, there's nothing new this month on Netflix. Right, unsubscribe. Like that. And also, wouldn't surprise me if next year some TV network's like, hey, we got the rights to Friends and we're going to rerun Friends for the whole 11 seasons or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to suddenly see a load of shows come back on TV that they're like, oh, we're rerunning old shows. It's like, no, you're just out of content.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And this is another thing to remember with films as well. We are likely going to see over the next year, depending on how this goes, a fuck ton of film re-releases.
yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Remastered.
Yeah, and they're all going to come back to the cinema so that they can try and keep the cinema busy so people don't notice a problem.
Do you know what they're going to do? It's going to be like, so-and-so film's 5th year anniversary, 10 year, 12, 25 year, and they'll do it this way to try and market
13th
it. But
year anniversary.
you're just going to get like weird stuff.
And although SAG-AFTRA hasn't said anything yet, I imagine when that does start happening, we need to not go to the cinema and see re-releases of films.
Yeah, I think they will come out
is
and
them
call it
just
out.
trying to save their money.
Yeah, they will call it out, and people will listen. People will just stop. Like, why am I going to pay to watch this re-release when I have it on DVD? I have it on your streaming service. I'm already subscribed to.
Exactly. So, do you know what people should do with their money instead when they cancel their subscriptions because there's no new content?
What's that?
They should spend it on comic books, Hori. And I have just the idea for someone who's never got into comic books before.
So what comics would they be?
Well, you see, at the New York Comic Con, Marvel announced the first titles for their new Ultimate Universe reboot.
Oh.
Now, the Ultimate Universe was a brilliant concept that got a little bit weird. But it did give us some great things, like Miles Morales.
Yes.
And they're starting to relaunch this concept.
Okay.
And they've announced the first 4 titles that are relaunching it now.
Okay.
So, you've got the Ultimate Universe comic,
Yep.
Ultimate Spider-Man, because of
Right.
course you're not doing something without Spider-Man being one of the first names on the
Yeah. Yeah.
sheet. Ultimate Black Panther, which I think is
Okay.
a brilliant decision,
Yeah.
and then Ultimate X-Men.
Okay.
And I'm going to be very careful with my words here,
Oh,
but I'm going to say exactly why these decisions were made.
go for it.
Ultimate Universe is someone who wants to read comics, but they don't know what characters they like, and they can just read this and they'll feel like they know what's going on with the world.
Yep.
Ultimate Spider-Man is for people who like a big name character,
Yes.
and then the marketing department will like, right, we need two other groups,
Mm.
two other comics.
Yeah.
Ultimate Black Panther is for minority communities.
Yeah.
The
Representation.
success of the Black Panther films
Yeah.
is 100% Marvel going, there is money to be made from people of color.
Yeah.
So we are going to find a way to make that money. And I'm not sure how, I assume this is relatively popular knowledge, but this might be one of these moments where I'm caught in a little glass house here and don't realize. X-Men has kind of been, although a lot of people are big X-Men fans, X-Men for the last kind of 20 years has kind of been a big part of LGBT culture.
Makes sense.
A lot of people resonate with the X-Men and the way they're treated,
Well, yeah.
especially in the LGBT community. So although the X-Men is very popular and very easy decision to choose them, that also gives them reach into that community as well.
Yeah.
So that's why that is why they've started with them full, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind.
It makes sense.
And that's not a bad thing either. I also think that's a good covering.
Yeah.
Ultimate Universe, it will give you lots of different stories, I'm sure. Ultimate Spider-Man is for people like me who just, I love Spider-Man, give me
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Ultimate Black Panther is probably going to give you an eye into the Avengers in this world.
Yeah.
And it's also going to give you probably more worldly stories
Mhm.
rather than just New York. And then
Yeah.
the X-Men is the X-Men. You cannot go wrong with the X-Men. And now that Marvel own the film rights to the X-Men again, they want to get X-Men content back out there,
That's
and
what
they're
I'm
going to stop
thinking.
pretending they like the Inhumans, because they don't. The Inhumans were purely created, or sorry, they were changed into what they are now because they didn't want to write X-Men stories and give Fox ideas for films.
Oh yeah, it's like when I saw that it was Ultimate X-Men, I was like, this feels like they're trying to drum up attention to X-Men again because we know X-Men are coming in the MCU, and it's like, get people talking about X-Men again.
Yeah. You got to remember the most famous Inhuman is Kamala Khan, and she's recently been retconned to be a mutant. So
Yeah, I
that
wonder how
tells
many
you all you
more
need to know.
retcons are coming.
That tells you all you need to know right there.
Yeah.
More Spider-Man news, because fuck it, we haven't had
Yes.
enough so far. Spider-Man Far From Home comes to Disney Plus on November 3rd. The most unfairly treated Spider-Man film, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because the Raimi trilogy, in some cases, gets the right amount of love, and in some cases, gets too much.
Hmm.
Amazing Spider-Man is become a cult classic, so people like to
Yeah.
pretend it's better than it actually was. It was okay. It didn't deserve the hate it got initially. It doesn't deserve the Gluck Gluck 3000 it's currently getting from the internet.
Yeah.
And as a result, for some reason, they've decided they hate the MCU Spider-Man. Is weird. I don't get it.
It's the internet.
But it's going to be on Disney Plus now, which is cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to finally I think purely for the sake of people that like to watch through the MCU stuff, it's good to finally have it there. It makes sense that those take a while to get there because I guess Disney and Sony have to come to some agreement.
Well, Sony has a deal with Netflix for the
Yeah.
Spider-Man films, so each of the Spider-Man films is coming to Disney once the Netflix deal runs out.
Yeah. So
Um,
be interesting to see if Netflix is able to uphold that deal going forward.
mm. The live-action Fallout series that we discussed recently after their dodgy poster
Yes.
that definitely used AI has got a release date.
Hmm.
The first episode is expected to release on Prime Video on April 12th.
Do we think Prime Video will be successful again? I'm unsure.
I don't have a lot of faith in a Fallout TV show. But I mean, let's see what they cook.
It could be good. I always take video game adaptations, even after the Last of Us show. I think that's a
I
very
I view The
that's an
Last of Us as
exception.
a yeah, exactly that. It's the exception, not the rule at all. We've also had Halo in that period of time.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I'm like, any video game into TV show, I take lightly till
The
I'm proven
only
otherwise.
the only benefit of the Fallout brand is because of the way that universe is built.
Mm,
You don't have to give a fuck about anything else that's been told.
no,
They're just giving you a setting,
they can
and they're
pick
and
a
they're
vault
going,
number and just be like, yep, set this vault.
yeah, this is your vault number. This is where that vault is located.
Yeah,
And then I mean, even like the shithousery of whoever was running the vault, they can decide themselves.
yeah.
Like it's such a iconic but easy to work with
Oh,
like necessity that you can. Out of all games, this has a decent chance being a good story,
yeah,
but that might mean it doesn't feel as Fallout like as the games do.
yeah. I get you.
But the Last of Us, what a show! Josh is desperate for me to play the Last of Us games, which I will get around to at some point. Um, this was a
Films.
very interesting bit of news I saw today.
Yeah, I haven't seen this, so I'm
This
intrigued.
popped up maybe 2 hours ago on my feed, and at first I didn't take too much notice. Then I saw it from two other sources.
Okay.
A Scarecrow movie is reportedly in the works. This movie will be set in the Matt Reeves Batman universe.
Be very cool.
Oh baby,
I'm
Scarecrow
won-
works.
It does, and I'm wondering if this is coming out because obviously the Penguin series is not long off, if I'm right.
I think, although they haven't said anything yet, I think we're expecting a delay for that.
Probably. But like I wonder if the character that is Scarecrow or the person like whoever's gonna play him, I wonder if they're kind of like mentioned or dropped in the
Quite
Penguin
possibly.
show to kind of set them up in that world, and then we're gonna get a film. We know we're getting a Batman 2. Matt Reeves is being allowed to kind of cook with this universe that he's making.
When they've also, funnily enough, to go along with that, it didn't deserve its own news point, but it should be discussed. Today or yesterday's 1 year since DC announced James Gunn and Peter Safran as the head of DC.
It's been an interesting year.
But yeah, with the relaunch of Elseworlds comics and
Mm,
us being told that films outside the main DCU are going to be Elseworlds films, and
mhm.
I hope they go really hard with that branding, like
Yeah,
understanding by plastering Elseworlds on it. They need to build that identity with normal consumers. That Elseworlds is a fun story that you don't need to give a fuck about anything else for. Um,
yeah,
why not let why not let Matt Reeves cook?
yeah. We know from the first one and all the interviews like how passionate he is about the Batman universe.
Let him tell his stories.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
James
We
Gunn
will.
knows the first one was a success, and he's got this world, this vision of a Batman world that seems very compelling.
Yeah.
Like you say, they need to nail like the branding for the DCU and the DC Elseworlds so that people instantly go, okay, this isn't DCU. I don't need to stress about. I haven't
Yeah.
seen Superman or seen all the other
In
stuff.
an ideal world, what DC need to do is they need to build a DCU slowly and methodically without trying to rush for
Hmm.
people like me and you who are going to turn up and watch all these films anyway.
Yeah,
And then Elseworlds needs to be what people who are sick of having to watch 60 hours of content every year to stay on track for. So they go, oh, here's an Elseworld Superman story. And they're like, Superman, it's only 3 hours. I don't need to do any homework. Let's go.
yeah. Well, that's sort of what Matt
Um,
Reeves is doing. It's going to be like people. Oh, I want to watch a new Batman. Oh, there's just Batman World, like just Gotham and stuff. It's like, oh, I can watch these ones and not have to worry about Batman in the bigger picture, sort of thing.
yeah. I think I'm going to start writing a script for an Elseworlds Flash story, so that I can play the Flash and get a treatment on it. I reckon I could sell a Flash film written, directed, and starring myself to James Gunn. What do you reckon?
I'm sure that you can do better VFX, and I'll instantly sell it.
Um, I'd love it. I'm also getting to the point now, especially like having played so much Spider-Man over the weekend and recency bias. I'm like,
Flash
I'd
game.
love a shot of playing.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, Flash game. I'd love a shot of giving Peter Parker a go though.
okay.
Like a alter like Spider-Man UK. Give me a chance to do that because I don't think I could learn a decent New York accent. I feel like I just cringe myself out.
Just do a Spider-Man in London.
Yeah, just yes, exactly that. I could nail that. Bit of British sarcasm instead of Spider-Man quips, and just let me cook. We already know that the best Spider-Man are British anyway.
Yeah.
Just let me cook Spider-Man UK with Athens, London, American accent.
Could be like a duo team up with Spider-Punk.
Yeah, exactly that. But yeah, I would also love a Flash video game. That'd be phenomenal. I want it. I want it bad. And with the magical SSD in the PS5, and not just the way they use it. Oh, you could make him run around the entire world. Hey, as good as the game was and as easy to use as the PS5 is, some of the way people talk about PS5 still winds me up. Anyway, the biggest bit of news I think this week, other than maybe all the SAG-AFTRA updates, the Marvels, which is due to come out in 2 weeks tomorrow.
Oof, that close.
November 10th. November 10th? 10th.
Okay.
According to people who got to see earlier versions of the film and have now seen the final version of the film, has reportedly made a major last-minute change to the end of the film. Which is interesting enough anyway, and a little bit concerning with Marvel's shaky reputation as of recently.
Yeah.
And the fact that we said that Ant-Man felt like it had some slapdash changes right at the end.
Yeah.
Even though no one said it did, it felt like it. But people who've broken this news on Twitter because of embargoes are being very vague about their opinions on said changes. The only real thing that leads to an opinion is someone said big changes from the other version I saw. Will be interesting to see what the discourse on Twitter is like afterwards. 2 additional tickets have been purchased.
Okay.
So maybe that person liked it, or maybe they just want to be in the cinema when people see it and they want to hear the reaction.
Possibly.
The kind of vibe I'm getting from a lot of the people who are tweeting this stuff seems to be that they've taken what was just a story end and they have changed it to play a larger part of the main MCU story, bringing back some of the interconnectivity that people have been claiming hasn't happened since Endgame.
Okay. I worry that they're going to force that too much.
With how last minute this change appears to be, that is a slight concern I have as well.
I also
and like
worry.
we said, they don't have a lot of buying power with us right now.
No, it could either be they've slapped someone in at the end. Like, oh, this hero's appeared. Connect in. I wonder if originally it was going to kind of set up and lead into another TV show.
Yeah.
And with all the MCU TV stuff going on, they've had to like, let's change that because that might not happen now. We have to make it fit into the lead into film more.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, with it being last minute, it's a little worrying.
It's a little touch and go, that's for sure.
It also can't be anything reshot.
Yeah.
So that means it's just a chop and change.
Yeah.
Which
maybe, I mean, it's possible that although they're dressing it up as a last minute change,
it could have been a while
maybe
ago,
it was just, maybe it was something they always planned on doing, but they didn't want it to risk it being leaked.
Well,
so they had a fake ending put in for the earlier looks at the film.
Possibly. We also know Marvel does film a lot of extra stuff, so it could have been they filmed a few things and they've re-chopped up and added in a different ending that they Like, and that's
It,
why.
it it wouldn't be the first time I've ever heard of a fake ending being put in for early screening so the true end didn't leak. And then even the reviewers and some people working at the company, when they went
Yeah.
to see it on the opening night, were genuinely shocked by how the film ended because that wasn't the ending they'd worked on.
Well, yeah, we
Um,
know Marvel likes to hide stuff, so
Exactly. But it'll be interesting to see how that pays off.
mm.
And that is it for our Nerd News Network this week. Very big one and lots of like truly beefy points to get into.
Oh yeah, there's a lot happened. A lot happened.